Is the rapture going to happen in 2025, the year we are in? Possibly. Let's take a look at a couple of things that is going around the Christian community right now. And that is two specific dates of when they believe the rapture is going to happen this year. And we're going to take a look at this year to show that there's a big actual problem. Now, these groups could be right, but at the same time, they are wrong. And you may be saying, what am I talking about? Well, you see, what I'm showing you right here is God's calendar. And these watchmen and women who love talking about the rapture and when it could be, have talked about this calendar and how we need to use God's calendar and how he tells time using the sun, the moon, and the stars. Yet, even though they taught us to do this and they taught us how to do it, they are not currently doing that. They even talked about in years past how Israel, the Jews, have been off by a month because they need to add a month now and then because of their calendar is off. And even though they know this, every year when they're off a month, they don't check them. Well, this year, the Jews are off a month. How do I know? I'll explain. Right now, I'm going to change the color to this. Let's go with green. If you look to the top left of the screen, you can see that I'm doing this video on Thursday, July 31st. And we're about coming up to a new moon, right? So I'm going to draw this off to the side here. And it's kind of different, right? We're going to kind of show a little slither, but the slither is in green instead of being, a bright yellow or white. So this is depicting the new moon. And why did I draw it over here? Because it's going to be in this constellation of the crab. The big C. I'm not sure if I can say that word, so I'm not saying it, because they don't like you talking about that on certain, websites there. But we have the new moon, and it's here in this constellation coming up in the tonight or tomorrow night, right? But the sun is also in this constellation, which it has to be that way because the sun and the moon are going to be next to each other right when it's coming out of the dark phase where the first sliver is going to come up. So you're going to see the new moon and the sun in the same constellation. So why am I telling you this? Well, that's because the first month of the year, Abib, or Aviv, or they'll call it Nisan, is when the sun and the new moon are in the constellation of Aries, the ram. This would be the first month of the year. Right? Which would mean when you see the sun and the moon in the constellation of Taurus, that would be the second month. And then when it goes to Gemini, that would be the third month. And then when you get to Cancer, oops, I said it, my bad. It's the fourth month, right? You may still be saying, yeah, what's the point? Well, everybody's talking about the month of Av. But the month of Av is over here. Let me erase that there, because I may want to use that space. So we have Av here, which is the fifth month. All right? So we're coming into the fourth month. It's just starting right now. Right? But what are some of these people saying? They're saying we're coming into the 5th month. We're coming into the month of Av. No, we're not. Because then the sun and the moon would be in this constellation, but that's not true. So when they're talking about a certain date being new wine, that's one of the dates where these people are saying the rapture is going to happen. They know it's in the beginning of the month of Av, right? And they're focused also on the 9th of Av, when the first and second temple were destroyed and different things happened to the nation of Israel on this day. Yet, for some odd reason, they're focused on this month, the 4th month instead of the 5th month. But it gets stranger. It gets even stranger. There's a bit of a division between these people, because then there's a lot of them who believe it's on trumpets, right? And since we're coming into August here, what's next month? September, right? And around what they are saying is the 23rd of September, they believe that this is going to be the Feast of Trumpets, right? And that's when we're actually coming into the 6th month over here, which is Virgo, the Virgin. And these people know this. They know that the 7th month, which is when the Feast of Trumpets is, 7th month here. Why did I write it there? I meant to put Tishri. They know that. Come on, get out of here. Tishri. That this is the 7th month. But at the start of the 6th month is when this date is going to happen. Right? Right at the start here, when, again, the sun and the moon would enter into that constellation of Virgo, which is a month early. Yet these people, they know it. They've gone over this in past years. Yet they believe right when that month starts, that's going to be the Feast of Trumpets. And boom, we could be going home. It could be the rapture. You know what's funny? What's funny, we'll put this over to the side here. Is that these two groups can very easily be into a shock, where the people who believe we're going to be raptured on new wine, well, they're going to think, oh, we missed it. Maybe it's next year, right? So they're going to think it's later, right? And the people who believe it's trumpets, they could be in for a surprise because it could be earlier than they think. Because if new wine is correct, it's going to happen in this month here, when the sun and moon are in the constellation of Leo. Right? And that should happen sometime around the end of August. Around the 24th of August, I think it was. So this right here. Around that time, we should see the sun in the constellation of Leo and the new moon there. And that's when we'll get to the 5th month. And if new moon is right, new wine is right. If new wine is the day when we're going to get raptured, it will be between the end of August and the start of September. Right? but it's going to be not on a time these people are expecting. These people who are watching, and watching so carefully, may get caught off guard, where one group thinks, oh, we missed it, right? We have to recalculate things. And other people thinking, no, it's almost here. It's not going to be yet. It's going to be another month. And then boom, it happens, right? But then very well, both of them could be in the same boat thinking, oh no, it's past. Because let's say it's trumpets. Well, that's going to be over here. As soon as you see the first slither of the new moon and the sun over here, which would be probably around October. I'm going to put 22nd-ish. That's when trumpets would be. And boom, right? That's where it would be. So they could both be thinking, oh man, we got to wait till next year or something, or we got to look at Hanukkah. Hanukkah could be the time. And they could both be thinking it's past, and they'll be looking to, well, we got 8, 9, 10. So they'll be looking over here at Capricorn, which looks like it would be sometime closer to January this year, which would actually bring us to 2026 if they were correct. But of course, they're going to be early, so they'll probably do it in September. I mean, not September, December, right? They'll probably do it over here. And they'll be talking, getting ready about this time, right? Because they're a month early on everything. And since they missed these dates over here, they'll be looking over here. Let's change the color. And then boom, it happens here at the new month on the Feast of Trumpets. So it could be funny that all these people are putting all this effort into watching, think that they missed it, and they start looking further ahead than they ought to, and then they completely miss it. That's kind of strange when you think. Like, why would God allow these people who love him so much and are looking so forward to his coming to be so far off? Makes you wonder, right? Makes you wonder. Almost as if they're not as close to God as you think. So why is that? I'm going to let you just simmer on that and think about that. Because I can talk about what I think. But what I think, you probably just take it as some hearsay, just opinion, right? But I'm pretty well convinced what these people really are and what they're really doing. But, yeah. I just wanted to make this video to say, well, maybe, right? Maybe it could happen this year, right? If it happens on New Wine or Trumpets, this is the time it would happen, right? Between the end of August and the beginning of September would be New Wine. And then near the mid-end of, well, pretty much closer to the end of October would be the Feast of Trumpets. So if it's going to happen on either one of those dates, well, there it is. And if it can happen at any time, then yeah, it could possibly happen. Like I said, right now. Like as soon as you hit the like button or something like that, it could happen, right? So, yeah, that would be 2025. That would be awesome, right? maybe I wouldn't even get a chance to post this video when it happens. That would be cool, right? But to say for sure, can't say definitely. It's like what I used to tell my wife is that coming from the Seventh-day Adventists, there was the great disappointment where the Seventh-day Adventist Church was formed when a bunch of people, mainly Baptists, with the Millerite movement, thought they figured out when the rapture was going to be. In the early 1800s, early mid-1800s there. I don't remember the exact date. And they went and were looking for the return of Jesus, and a lot of the people sold all they had. And one of the reasons why they were so gung-ho about being right is because they were actually used their timetable to predict the fall of the Ottoman Empire. And the Ottoman Empire fell, and they were like, wow, we are right. So this is when the rapture is going to happen. So they were looking for it. And then, of course, it didn't happen. So the group ended up breaking up, and part of the group became Jehovah's Witnesses, and the other group became Seventh-day Adventists. And I remember talking to my wife saying, yeah, see, there's been groups who, they've had pretty good reason that was convincing to think that the rapture was going to happen back then. But they were wrong. Then there was a big group for 88 reasons why the rapture would happen in 1988. And some people thought they were a year off. It would be 1989. Then there was a lot of people who thought, oh, the year 2000. Right? And we've had all the people since 2016-ish. Funny, it's the time when DJT becomes president. That's when all of a sudden there's rapture talk. It's kind of interesting if you ask me. A little bit of a side subject there, but something to think about. And sitting there saying that they've been thinking it's going to happen at all these times. So you can't like bet the farm on it, right? Like you can hope for the best, but you got to prepare for the worst. And that's what I would want to end this video with, is that you need to look at things going on in the world. Where in America, the dollar, things look like they're going okay right now. But it's only a matter of time before the dollar loses more value. The economy goes more to crap, especially with AI taking over more jobs and there being more unemployment, and how they're just trying to throw people who are unemployed and without homes into basically concentration camps now, along with the people that are supposedly illegals, the undesirables, and trying to clean it all up by getting rid of these people. It's looking pretty scary, because this could easily trigger an economic collapse. It can easily trigger a civil war, and these things could easily trigger world war. And back in the time where they thought they were going to be raptured in the 1800s, Civil War happened, right? And the church had to go through the Great Depression here. They had to go through World War I, World War II. So, yeah, we might go through some tough times. The Christians in China basically are having to deal with the prototype of the mark of the beast, where everything's being tracked, and if they don't fit in with how the government wants them to be, they can't fit in with society. They can't buy and sell, right? And if you want to be Christian, you got to use the government official version of the scriptures, or else you're going to be locked up and imprisoned, right? So it's some persecution there. Not to mention Iran. They are converting like crazy over there to Christianity. And then all of a sudden we go and bomb them. So you imagine them. They're all coming to Christ. And then America and Israel and some other nations help start blowing them up. Right? which kind of lets you know, hey, America, American Christians, Western Christians, do you think if you were really Christian, as in you were truly Christian, and if you're truly Christian, you weren't lukewarm and worldly, that you would be facing the same kind of persecution? Don't you think that's how it would be if we were truly following Christ, that things wouldn't work out so well for us in this world? Yet, we got it pretty easy compared to these other places where they're converting to Christianity. Things aren't going so well for them over there. But over here, things are going pretty easy compared to what's going on there. Right? So, I wonder why that is. Satan's not going to mess with those who have no power. Right? There's no convicting power to a worldly Christian. You're not going to convince anybody to truly believe the gospel when you're no different from anybody else in the world. There's nothing in you that's like, oh, I want to be like you, because you're just like any unbeliever or any person of a different religion. Right? There really isn't a difference between the two. Right? But in these other countries, there's actually a real risk to being Christian. Right? So only those who truly believe and truly love God, they're going to do it. And then those people, they got some power because they're willing to stand out against odds that are highly against them and against an opposition that's way mightier than them. And they will stand up and give up their lives. So they face the persecution. That's something to think about. Right? Something to think about. But, yeah. Anyway, I guess that wraps this up. So, clickbait. Anyway, thank you for watching all the way through. I appreciate it. If you like the content, I know I kind of pretty much went over this in other videos before, so it's not really giving anything new, but I figured I would go over it again to try to get some of these people's attention who believe that it's going to happen at these times, but they're completely off. I want to wake them up to be like, don't bet the farm. But it's like some of these people that have come up saying, there's a channel there, Bruce Peters, where his channel is basically just about calling out the people who talk about the rapture all the time. That's his whole channel. Has nothing to do with Jesus, has nothing to do with preaching the gospel, has nothing to do with correcting false doctrine and preaching whatever it is he believes about the scriptures. It's just basically about calling out the people who want attention for predicting the rapture. Right? That's all he does, is call out people for talking about the rapture and calling out how they just want attention. Yet it seems as though that's exactly what he's doing. All he does is call them out because he wants attention. Right? Because when you talk about the rapture, you get attention. And everybody has caught on to that, so everybody wants to talk about it. Right? And he can just make a video or two about a person, like each one of these people he's mentioning, and then that's that. You don't need to talk about it anymore. But that's all he does. I mean, what are you going to do? Right? But you got people like that pointing out all these other people and what they're doing, what they're saying. And I don't know. He made a good point talking about how people, they want to hear that the rapture is going to happen really soon. They want to fantasize about leaving this world. They want to build up teachers to tickle their itching ears, right? So they want to hear about, oh, the rapture is going to happen at this time, at that time, because it's something exciting. It's something to look forward to. And they don't want to be here, right? But you got to kind of grow up. You got to face reality. Because we very well could go through some rough times. We may need to go through some rough times, not for ourselves, but to shake off the chaff, to prune us a bit, so that then we can be used to truly spread the gospel to a whole lot of other people. Because we're pretty comfortable right now. But if things got shooken up, so let's say we lost our homes where we're living, and right now it's supposed to be illegal to be homeless, so then they put you in one of those camps. Well, now all of a sudden, you got a whole bunch of people to preach the gospel to that may have never heard it before, and then boom, there you go. If your life didn't fall apart, you would have never done it. God had to put you in that situation. Or maybe you're in a situation similar to that, and you end up being able to reach lost family and friends that really didn't take you seriously until all of a sudden you would stand your ground against persecution, and that you wouldn't back down, and that convicted them. Right? So God may answer your prayers by really shaking up your life before he comes and gets us, because I don't know about you, but I've been praying that my lost family and friends would truly accept the gospel in this time of grace before the rapture, so they can avoid what's going through what's to come upon this world shortly, because I don't know if they would be able to do it. If they're going to be saved, it has to be now. So maybe God's going to shake things up for us, and it's going to be rough, but it's how he's going to answer our prayers to be able to reach these people that we've been praying for. Right? So, yeah. I just wanted to clickbait you and to trying to get your attention, to wake you up to how they got everything all screwy. So, if you enjoyed the video, please take a moment to pray to our Heavenly Father that he would get this message out to those who need to hear it before they go through some kind of disappointment, right? And go through that same mess all over again. It's like, I don't know how these people can keep doing it over and over and over and over, right? I mean, dang. But it does look like it's soon from things we're seeing going on in the world. But we don't know how much longer things can keep going the way they're going. They could go on for a while. And you just got to hope for the best and prepare for the worst. Right? And, yeah. Just pray to our Heavenly Father that he gets the message out to who it needs to get out to, and that he would watch over us and protect us and provide for us until he comes and gets us, and that he strengthens us. And if need be, humbles us, prunes us, and chastises us, and shakes off the chaff and make us useful, that we can do the things, all the things we haven't been doing, that we need to do, that our prayers may be answered, that people actually may get help and get saved. And just amen in Jesus' name to that. Should be good as gold, better than gold. All we really need. And don't forget to do what Isaiah said and find the book of the Lord and read it. And to actually put line upon line and precept upon precept there. Doing what Paul said, studying the word, showing yourself to prove unto God, rightly dividing the word of truth, and doing what John said, to hide that word in your heart and keep it there, and not deny his name, so that God will keep you from the hour of temptation that's going to come upon the whole world and all them that dwell on it here shortly. And then Jesus will never be able to tell you you do err, not knowing the scriptures. So, with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to help out this ministry some more, other than what you've already done, please thumbs up, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, share the video, share the channel, hit the heart button there, interact in the comments section, all that good stuff there. That helps out a lot. And if you want to and you're able to help out some more, well, there's 4 ways you can donate to the ministry in the info description box if you so choose to do so. So with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.